I won't go back. My teenage grandmother shouted at her father in a voice that Moses must have used when he shouted at Pharaoh, "Let my people go." Ethel? Ethel, what makes you think that you can talk to me, the father, the tata, in a voice like that? Because, tata, it's America. Still, Ethel, we have to go back to Poland. We only came for a short visit. What makes you think that you can stay here, a girl, a teenager, by yourself? Because, tata, it's America. Still, Ethel, the fight went on all night. In Yiddish, of course. Neither spoke a word of English. And by dawn's early light, my fiery, feisty little 4-foot 10-inch grandmother had defeated her father. Okay, Ethel, I'll tell you what. You can stay maybe another couple of weeks, even though we came to only visit Aunt Freda and Cousin Bertha for a while. I'll go back. You come back in a couple of weeks. You stay here. I know, Tata, it's America. But she had no intention of going back. My grandmother remembered all too well the horrors and the disasters that she had grown up with in that area of Poland called Galicia, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So her father left her tickets for her ship to return in a couple of weeks, which stretched to a couple of months, which stretched to a couple of years, and all the while the letters flew across the Atlantic. Ethel, come home. No. Come home now. No. Ethel, I'm coming to get you. And then destiny intervened big time on my grandmother's behalf. World War I erupted as a stinking boil. Her father had set sail to come to America in August of 1914, the time that would become known as the Guns of August. The ship never sailed, and my grandmother never returned. So she went about the business of becoming an American. Now, living with her Aunt Freda and her cousin Bertha, she got room and board. She took care of the young children. But Ethel Kushner liked pretty things. She wanted spending money. And the only skills she had were domestic skills. My grandmother loved to fuss and paczki. Paczki, it's a Yiddish term. It means, well, I could take a half an hour in Yiddish translating, but in English the best translation is to fuss. That meant that she could roll out strudel dough until it was paper thin. She could chop apples in uniformity that even a bakery couldn't, and then sprinkle it with cinnamon and sugar, roll it up in precision, make strudel, bake it to a golden brown, and cut the pieces so uniformly. And then she would arrange them on a beautiful platter with a doily and sprinkle it with confection. My grandmother was a Jewish Martha Stewart. And so she would do all these wonderful things. She got a job in a milliner shop. At that time, Orthodox Jewish women, well, even today, cover their heads with wigs and then with big fancy hats. My grandmother turned those fine skills into coiffing hair and making buttons and bows and ribbons all over hats. Well, she, of course, would never wear a wig or a hat. That was old-fashioned. That's what the women in the old country do. After all, for my grandmother, it's America. And then she was determined to learn English. Now, how she navigated the bureaucracy to even register for a night class in English, I never understood. But she explained to me when I was a little girl, Mamala, her pet name for me, meaning little mother. Among my people, well, your destiny is demanded early on in life, and you know what you're expected to be when you grow up. Mamala, I went into that class. I wanted to learn the English. I thought I would register the teacher. I would say a word in Yiddish. She would translate in English. But I walked in. It was a bouquet of languages. People spoke Chinese and Japanese and Greek and Russian and Spanish and Italian. It was like the Tower of Babel. But I didn't care how long it took for the class because I'd already spotted the handsome young man in the next row. Oh, the way my grandmother explained it to me. His eyes were big and blue, the eyes of an intellectual, a man with a purpose. Oh, and even better, he was a cap maker. I was a hat maker, caps and hats, hats and caps, it went together. And that's not all that they had in common. Not only did he make caps and she made hats, but as she explained it, he was not only handsome, but he was tall. Okay, he was taller. That meant that when my 4'10" grandmother put on her 2-inch high button heels, they were the same size. And they lived right near one another. He lived at 647 East 11th, she lived at 604 East 9th, and so he would walk her home after night school, and he would lift her up and carry her, as he did once during a snowstorm, and it must have reminded him of how the peasants got him through a snowstorm on their shoulders when he escaped from Russia. Neither knew when they were born. They just knew it was in the late winter, early spring of the year 1893. So they chose their birthdays right next to one another. She chose March 20th, the last day of winter, and he chose March 21st, the first day of spring. My grandmother was an older woman. And so they began their lives together, side by side. These two self-selected survivors, the ones who put their packs on the backs and got on the ships and came to the place that Lincoln called the last best hope on earth. My mama was their first baby, and I am just a small part of their legacy. Sometimes I sit in my office at the university where I teach, and I'm in profile to the computer and to the door, and a student will come by and try to get my attention and call in, Professor Stavish. And when I hear that, sometimes I don't turn to the student, but rather I look up and I see them there. They're right there. He's grinning ear from ear. He nudges her and he says, "Look, Ethel, from us, a professor." She waves him away, very unimpressed, as if she's known how this story was going to end all along. It's as if she's forgotten the horror and the hardship of living through 2 world wars. In the second, she sent both of her sons to fight in Europe. The younger, she had to sign a permission slip. He was only 17. But then she had a brother at Dachau. And then they lived through the Great Depression. She lost a 4th child because of the poverty of that depression. And just when they could have lived a little and laughed a little, he died of a massive heart attack at the age of 60, and she succumbed 8 years later after a fierce battle with leukemia. No, she's forgotten all that. She just turns to him, and I swear I hear her say to me, Mamala, help that student to learn the English. And to him she says, of course we got the professor. After all, it's America.